My name is Kevin. I'm an office worker. But there's been a long-standing feud in my department. It's with my boss, Tom. Tom and I always seem to clash. Tom, I really think that approach is bound to fail. Let's plan this out properly. Tom's work is always sloppy, and it causes trouble for the other employees. Everyone is too scared to stand up to the fearsome boss. But I'm the only one who speaks out. Shut it, Kevin. You're so annoying. Tom would say with an annoying sigh, often leading to a big argument. Today was no different. With Tom and I at odds again. What was unusual was that despite being lectured in front of the other employees, a humiliating situation, Tom kept smirking triumphantly. What's with that attitude? If you have a problem, just say it. Then Tom said, it's because of your attitude that you're a failure as a husband. His smile was like that of a devil, as if he knew everything about my private life. Tom slyly covered his mouth and said, oops, can't say any more than that, before heading outside for a smoke. I couldn't stop thinking about what he said and immediately followed him. I have a wife named Emily, 2 years my junior, but our relationship hasn't been great lately. I called out to Tom, who was about to light a cigarette, and asked him what he meant by his words. Tom smirked, lit a cigarette, and after blowing out a cloud of smoke, he dropped a bombshell. Emily is going to remarry me. What? My hand trembled slightly. Tom said mockingly, it doesn't matter to you anyway, right? You're planning to divorce her soon anyway, right? It's true that things between Emily and me had been deteriorating, but I loved her. I had no intention of divorcing her. I wanted to work on mending our relationship. However, as if to dismiss my hopes, Tom said, you're too full of yourself. That's why she's leaving you. Do you know what Emily says about you? After tossing his cigarette butt into the ashtray, Tom whispered to Meyer, he's all talk. That's what she said. He then burst into laughter and said, your wife's the best, before heading back to the department. I was speechless and couldn't move for a while. I'm just a regular office worker working for an ordinary company in New York, and my romance with Emily started at work. We were in the same group during our new employee training, which led us to get along and eventually start dating. We smoothly progressed to marriage. Emily was very responsible. She even tucked the lead in our training group, and I admired her work attitude. When we married, Emily wanted to keep working, but I wanted her to stay home and take care of the family. So I told her I'll be the breadwinner, promising to provide for us. Then she said, if we have children, I want to fulfill my role as a mother, so I'm thinking of quitting my job. After that, she resigned from the company and became a full-time housewife. But actually, that might have been the point when she started to change. The biggest issue between us was that we didn't have any children. Emily began to stress out, constantly blaming herself, saying, why did I quit my job if we can have kids? Whenever I tried to comfort her, she would push me away, yelling, don't touch me. You took my job away, and yet you just keep working on the same job. Bring home some promotion news for once. Her anger would escalate, leading us to have heated arguments. For over 6 months, Emily and I went through a rough patch, and during that time she might have been secretly meeting with my boss, Tom. Apparently, she called me just I'll talk. Indeed, my manly promise of I'll learn for us meant nothing if I couldn't fulfill it. I remember Tom always favored Emily, and they might have kept in touch even after I married her. Seizing the opportunity as our relationship soured, they probably started an affair. I wanted to confront Emily about everything. However, when I got home, her belongings were gone. The affair was a fact, and now is thrust upon me. To have my wife taken by my nemesis boss was a humiliation beyond words. Nothing could have been more frustrating. Gradually, I couldn't stand working at the same company as Tom and decided to quit. It was one misfortune after another. Why are you quitting, Kevin? My colleagues would ask. I'd just smile and say, I'm moving on to a new job. None of them knew about my divorce or her affair with the boss. I couldn't possibly tell the truth. Maybe I should have sued for the affair. But all I wanted was to escape to a place where I didn't have to see Tom's face. Perhaps there was also a sense of guilt for not making Emily happy. Being alone in the house made me feel even heavier. The absence of Emily made our 2-bedroom apartment feel even larger. Though I told my colleagues I was getting a new job, I had no motivation or plans for job hunting and aimlessly wandering around. Suddenly, I found myself in the nightlife district. Maybe I should drink my sorrows away just for tonight. Standing in front of a bar that caught my eye, I resolved to drink until morning in a fit of despair and reached for the door. At that moment, I heard a woman's voice saying, "Oh, there you are. I've missed you so much." Startled, I turned around to see an unfamiliar woman who then grabbed my arm and behaved as if we were a couple, leaving me in utter confusion. What? The woman, still clinging to my arm, asked, "Where are we going tonight? Who is this woman?" However, I noticed her arm trembling slightly, and her smile seemed to mask fear. Something must be up. Thinking quickly, I played along. "Well, let's go to a place you like." When I said that, she slightly nodded and eagerly said, "Yay, follow me, please." I followed her lead. She took me to a nightclub. Standing in front of the club, she sighed in relief. "Thank you for going along with my story. I managed to get through thanks to you." The woman thanked me. Her name was Ashley, an alias she used at the club. I was invited by Ashley. "Please come with me," and guided me to a seat. Once seated, she explained why she pretended to know me. "I've actually been stalked by a customer who kept insisting on after party. He's this awful old guy who would touch my butt and stuff. I always refused because who knows what he might do if I went with him." "I see. So, you clung to me, a random guy nearby, because you felt in danger." "That's right. It was just awful. But I was saved because you were there. I really like dependable men." Seeing this, Ashley placed her hand on my thigh. Ashley was a very beautiful woman, and just that was enough to make my heart race. Having been called unreliable by Emily and essentially discarded, her words had rebuilt my shattered male pride. "Let's enjoy the night," she said seductively with captivating eyes. Just then, a waiter came over and said, "Feel free to have a drink," offering us a menu. "Then I'll take you up on that offer." As I was about to take the menu, an unexpected situation unfolded. "Excuse me," a woman suddenly intervened. "Hey, what's up, Sarah? I don't need help." "Ashley, please stop doing this." The woman Ashley called Sarah glared at her intensely. Then Ashley's demeanor changed abruptly. "What? Come with me." Sarah grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the club. As I was being dragged along, I couldn't help but think about how many times I was going to be grabbed by a woman today. "Should be safe here." "Sorry, Kevin." No, it's okay. I'm used to being dragged around." "Wait, how do you know my name? Don't you recognize me?" she asked, turning to face me. "Wait, I've seen her somewhere before." After staring at her for a while, I suddenly exclaimed, "Ah, Lily, is that you?" Lily? Lily was a junior from the company I had recently left. My impression of her was a very serious and quiet woman who barely wore makeup. But now, what about her? Her mascara was dramatically curled, and with bold cheek and lip makeup, she had completely transformed into a woman of the night. "You work here?" I asked, and Lily nodded. Sarah was her alias in the club. I knew the company allowed side jobs, but I never imagined she had this other side. "When I saw you come to the club, I was surprised. But since you left the company recently, I thought it wouldn't be a problem to talk to you. I didn't want to see a former senior getting tricked." "What do you mean?" "That Ashley. She's been using some pretty nasty tactics to lure customers lately." "Did she grab your arm and say, 'I missed you'?" Making up a story about being stalked by another customer. Realizing she was right, I let out an involuntary yaw. Lily sighed as if troubled. Just as I thought. It seemed I had almost fallen for a kind of theatrical scam. What a spectacle. In front of a junior, no less. I'm so embarrassed. "Thanks for the help, Lily. There's nothing really." The club had its eye on Ashley's behavior anyway. "I'll report your case to the manager." "That's a relief. Can I ask you something?" "What is it?" "Just curious. But why are you working at a place like this?" I was surprised. But you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. I just wanted to drink until I pass out today. I feel lonely and wanted to hear someone's story." Feeling a bit pathetic for leaning on a junior, I braced myself and asked her. Lily seemed to ponder for a moment, then whispered, "It's Kevin." so I guess it would be fine. And then she said, okay, I understand, and began her story. Actually, I'm being forced to work at that club. Almost like it's against my will. What? My mother is a bit of a mess. After she divorced my father, she went off the deep end, got involved in some weird religion and racked up a huge debt. Now I'm the one trying to pay it off. But, but that's your mother's debt, not yours, right? Then Lily turned her face away. I've always done whatever my mother told me to. She demanded money, so I just followed her orders. Lily shared that she grew up enduring violence from her mentally unwell mother, which made it hard for her to defy her. I used to be a brighter girl, but ever since my mother changed, I've become shy and gloomy. I hate what I've become. She, who was always expressionless, distorted her face only when saying these last words. It must have been a very difficult life. A life bound by her mother. Watching her, I strangely felt the urge to help. Why don't you just run away from your mother? Lily looked at me with surprise in her eyes. But I've tried to run away so many times. But I'm scared. Her presence is just. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. She might have been reliving unpleasant memories. I gently placed my hand on her shoulder. Then let me help you talk to your mother. Why would you go that far for me, Kevin? I shrugged and gave her a smile. I had divorced, about Emily, right? She was having an affair with Tom. A divorce, really? I said yes and tried to smile, but inside I felt like crying. I ran away from that job. I had to escape. It's embarrassing and pathetic, but I ran and ran. I repeated the word ran and then said, I'm trying to grab onto the next happiness. I surprised myself. Just moments ago, I was in the depths of despair, but now I could say something so positive. It's okay to run from the past. Now, next time you just need to find happiness in the future. Felt like I was telling myself more than Lily, right? I should also look forward. The reason I wanted to help Lily was that I saw her in the same brink of despair as I was. When I looked up, Arise met Lily with a slightly apologetic expression. Asked, will you really help me? I definitely will. I replied and later arranged to meet with her mother. A few days later, I went to Lily's family home and met her mother. Could you please let your daughter go? Let her be free. But her mother yelled, don't stick your nose into other people's family matters. Your daughter is an excellent worker, but if she keeps jiggling a day job and a night job, she'll break down eventually. Are you okay with that? I found myself shouting. Still her mother refused to listen and threatened. If you say another word, I'll call the police. But then Lily, with tears welling up in her eyes, said, Mom, please stop. I'm gonna leave you, Mom. It seemed my words had given Lily the card she needed. Despite her long-standing fear of her domineering mother, she now confronted her with all the frustration she had been holding back. It was an ordeal so terrible that I wondered if it was even appropriate for me, an outsider, to hear. The realization that her daughter was truly leaving must have struck her mother, who then pleaded, please don't abandon me. But Lily's resolve didn't waver, and finally she said goodbye, pulling my arm as we left the house. On the way home, Lily asked me, was this the right thing to do? It was good. Take some time away from her. You can meet her again later. For now, just take care of yourself. As I said this, Lily seemed to find some resolution and showed me a smile for the first time, saying, you're right. Let me treat you to something as a thank you next time. Her smile seemed to soothe my troubled heart. I never knew Lily's smile could be so lovely. I found myself gazing at her for a long while. From that day on, our relationship changed from former colleagues to companions who had shared tough experiences. Later, Lily and I started dating. She became brighter and more beautiful, always sharing smiles with me. Then one day I ran into the most unexpected persons. It was my ex-wife Emily and my former boss Tom. Wow, what's this? Are you two together now? That's quite a surprise. Tom looked astonished, switching his gaze between me and Lily. Emily, on the other hand, awkwardly averted her eyes from me. My heart almost stopped upon encountering these two, the very source of my trauma. I braced myself for what they might say, but surprisingly it was Lily who started talking. Tom, have you found a new job yet? It was too late by the time Tom responded. Hey, wait, Emily turned to him, demanding, "What do you mean new job? That guy caused some problems at the workplace. So he's resigning at the end of this month as part of taking responsibility. So good luck, Tom." Lily said this and then pulled my arm, saying, "Let's go." As we walked past them, I could hear Emily and Tom's loud argument from far away, feeling a bit relieved. Lily grinned. "That was a little payback for the two who hurt you." Her dependable smile made me smile too. With Lily, I felt I could find happiness again. This incident made me sure of her love for me. On the 1st of December, I got the news I was dreading. All of the tests have confirmed the diagnosis. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So basically this will be my last holiday season. I am awk with what is going to come. I am at peace with that. I have had a life well lived. All of my loved ones will be taken care of. I am naturally a private person, so my wayward wife, Jane, is unaware of my tests. I did not want to worry her until I had answers, so I headed home early to have the talk. This is not something I wanted to do over the phone or by text. Well, as you can guess, since I am here, my life changed more than once that afternoon. When I arrived at the house, I noticed the car of one of my business partners in the drive. There was no mistaking it. Flashy, expensive, with a personalized license tag. To say this is out of the ordinary is an understatement. I pull up our home camera system on my phone and notice it is in privacy mode, not recording. So I let it be and drove off to my farm property. Now our camera system is for safety and I never look at it unless there is a concern. With that said, I also love to watch for wildlife on the outside cameras. I also find it oddly satisfying to watch storms come through. So for my own enjoyment, years ago I configured a second video recorder to archive the cameras to local storage. That storage is not accessible via my phone. So when I was at the farm, I opened up my computer and looked at the other server to confirm what my gut was telling me. And sure enough, there they were, snuggling in the living room, drinking wine, dancing, then going up to the bedroom suite. Apparently they left the doors open because the microphone recorded their activities after they left the camera view. With my limited time left, I wanted answers, but I didn't want the drama of a confrontation and divorce. Call me what you will, but all of my devotion and love for her left me that afternoon. I have all of the emotions that are to be expected. I know that I am not to blame. I have been a loyal, romantic, and attuned partner. I am now thinking about myself. I know what is important to me, so I called my lawyer and we reviewed my will and our prenup. I told him what was going on. We worked on an understanding of how long and to what extent this affair has been going on. What has been found is disturbing, and I either clearly did not know the woman I shared 2+ decades of life with or something in her changed. At this time, I am not going to say anything to my kids, wayward wife, and I never had children or wayward wife. I am going to put on a stiff upper lip and get through the holidays. Give the kids and grandkids one last holiday memory with me involved. I will be the doting father and grandfather and then try to play the doting husband role. Some background for some of the obvious questions. AP is a widower and is not remarried. He is a business partner but not a friend. I do not invest with friends. I never married my twins' mother, male and female. It was her choice and I completely agree with her that at that time she made the correct decision. My kid's mother, Sarah, married a very wonderful man, Steve, when the kids were 7. Sarah and Steve never had kids of their own. I got my head out of my ass when the kids were 3. I have been very involved with them before that, but that is when I started my road to be the father I wanted to be. Sarah and I co-parented well together and I would call Steve a friend. Sarah, Steve and I are in our 60s. Jane is almost 60. AP is in his 50s. Jane and I are both in our first marriage. We were in our 30s when we married. Update. First, I want to thank you all for all your support. It really has helped. I have read all of your comments and has given me a lot to think about. I'm going to give some general information to help clarify my situation. Sarah and I were very young when we had twins. They were a surprise but always wanted. So the twins are in their 40s and the grandkids are all teens and older. Christmas is a week-long affair every year. We spend Christmas through New Year on the farm. We go cut down a tree after everyone arrives. We decorate, cook, play, and celebrate as a family. Sarah and Steve have been a part of this tradition since I bought the farm. I remain steadfast in not telling anyone until after the new year. If I told Sarah, she would not be able to keep it in. I don't want to place Steve in a position to lie to his wife. I want the kids and grandkids to enjoy the week. We will have plenty of time to cry and prepare in a few weeks. Jane's presence this week will just be a small detail in the long run. Really, I don't care about her anywhere near the rest of the family. The finances are very interesting. Jane and I met and were married after we both were very established in our job and wealth. She had a good job with a great pension. She also had 2 inheritances that were in a trust. We agreed early on that we were both comfortable and we would not disclose to each other our entire worth by her insistence. We also have a prenup where any property and trust that predate the marriage and any income from those resources are not considered marital property. Again on her insistence. Now I have provided both properties, housing with utilities. I purchased the travel, food, and fuel. Basically, I support her 100%. Her income and wealth are spent by her only. She purchased her car, clothes, personal travel, and cosmetic surgery. She is a very beautiful woman on the outside but has shown she is very ugly inside. A few days after I got my diagnosis, I announced my retirement from the nonprofit. Now knowing what I know, I noticed Jane was a bit uncomfortable. I can guess why. I will be around more often, so tomorrow is my last day of work. Now I will be focusing on spending time with the family. I gave the camera server info to my lawyer and gave him access from his office. So I don't know if they had activities again, but I would assume yes. Again, I don't care at this point. I know who I am and what is my worth, and AP is a big step down. As flashy as AP is, I am low-key. I drive a 15-year-old pickup truck. I like jeans and t-shirts and coveralls in the winter. I know for a fact that AP does not have anywhere near the wealth that Jane thinks he does. How? Since the trust has invested in his business, I get quarterly financials. I don't tell anyone how much I have, that is between my accountants and me, but let's just say that the trust has been growing for 30 years. I live a modest life and there is enough there for my great-great-grandchildren to enjoy the farm and have their education paid for. Once Jane knows what she lost, that will be her reckoning. I just won't see it. December really got busy. We did our normal social rounds these last weekends. AP was at one of the parties. It was hard to not keep an eye on Jane and him. I don't think I was caught. With being so busy and wrapping up everything at the job, I have had an easier time keeping it together. Jane has not expressed anything that would lead me to conclude that she knows I know. I am not proud of this, but I still sleep in the same bed. I have been selfish with her as of late. I feel like I am using her, but she has apparently been using me for at least the better part of this year. I am not as honorable as many of you have made me out to be. I hate this small amount of deceit. So don't worry about Jane getting everything, because she will not. The trust is in great hands. I have detailed instructions on how it is to be managed. Thanks to the comments, I have made plans in case my health turns for the worse sooner than I want, or if I pass unexpectedly. I have also made plans to have in-home care when it is needed. Jane will not be my caregiver. If I become incapacitated, the lawyer will tell Sarah, Steve, and the kids. Jane will be blocked from me. All important papers, valuables, and whatnot have been moved to a safe location. Finally, I have also started letters to each family member and Jane. Those have been harder than I thought. So I wanted to update you all before all of the festivities start. I might check in during holiday week, but if I don't, it is planned and expected. Hey OP. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season with your family. Enjoy your time and make the most of every moment, both for yourself and for their lasting memory of you. If I were you, I'd pre-record a video that I would ask to get played during the funeral. In it, start by thanking everyone for attending, with the exception of Jane. I would then say something along the lines of, I left this world unloved by my own wife, and I ask that if she is in attendance that she does not attend my celebration of life following this video. I wish you all the best OP. Now let's get into today's second story. Hi there. I'm 40 years old. My wife is 35, and we've been married for about a decade. She and I started off with an amazing relationship. We waited to get married because she miscarried in a previous relationship. Eventually, I told her I wanted to get married, even if she couldn't have a child. We did, and 2 years later we welcomed our daughter. Things seemed great, but the tension was there at first. Having a kid is exhausting, as you probably know. When our daughter grew up, she claimed that I wasn't giving her as much attention. I explained that she was a new mom and the breadwinner, and I had to make sure that everyone was taken care of. I was trying my best, but I could feel the resentment getting to her for a bit. For a few years, we worked it out. Eventually, our daughter grew up and it got easier to have a relationship. Still, I felt like there was some strange animosity that came with this, even though I did my best to fix this and made accommodations for her as well. While we did try to make things better, there was still some tension there. Even though we did get past the tension before, something still felt off. When our daughter started school, my wife went back to work. I told her that she didn't need to do that, but she insisted that she wanted to for another reason. I've been handling the bills, but I decided she was just being nice about it, so I brushed it off. She spent less time at home, which I found to be a bit weird. Our daughter was a little older, and I stepped up to be the one to take care of her. She would get home late sometimes because she told me she had to put a lot more time into the jobs that she missed so much. I found it weird, but I didn't try to. One night we had a big fight over my daughter's grades. She accused me of not being there since I spent a lot of time at my own job. I called her out, but she called me narcissistic, selfish, and only caring about myself. I was shocked because she didn't seem to actively put effort into the relationship either. I was so confused. She became cold and a lot more distant. She was now more distant than before. I tried to make things better for both of us. I decided, hey, let me go to her workplace to surprise her. When I got there, she was gone. I called her to ask where she is. She told me about a restaurant nearby. I got there, but she was not there. She mentioned she changed her mind, and she went somewhere else. I asked where she and I wanted to meet up, but she said she couldn't say. She was not sure yet. At this point, I thought it was a bit strange. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, though. She told me she's going to a work conference. I asked where I could bring my daughter. She hesitated, saying she was not sure yet. Now at this point, I didn't know what to believe, and my gut feeling said something otherwise. I decided to check her work email since it was open, and I found the hotel. I put a tracker on her luggage, only to find out she didn't go to that hotel, but instead to another nearby. Why in the world would she lie about where she was going, and what hotel was she really at? Curious, I decided to follow her. I got to that hotel and I figure out where she is from the tracking device that I used. When I got up there, I heard sounds of moans and the like. I suddenly saw that the door is left open slightly, and that's when I found it. She was with another man. Tears of sadness and rage fell down my face, but I couldn't let her know just yet. I decided to wait for them to walk out. They do, and I walked down the hall. I told her that I know everything, that she'd been cheating on me with another man. She tried to lie, but I pulled out my phone, which records their voices. I asked her plainly what really happened. She then goes off to say that I'm not attentive to her needs, and that she wanted a divorce anyways. I got so angry. I told her that she shouldn't come home to see our daughter again. She confessed that this is a coworker, and that she'd been talking for a bit. She said that she'd been going out with him because he paid for her meals. She claimed that she only kissed him, but the sounds were there. I was furious. She had a child with me. She claimed that I was the only one for her. How could she do this to me? Afterward, I left, but not without uploading that footage of her confession to the cloud. I told her boss about it, that she cheated on me, broke a family apart, and put her own needs before her daughter's. They fired her. I kicked her out of the house. Everyone knows that she's a cheater, so I've made sure and have it known in everything possible. Since then, I don't know where she is, but I've been able to help my daughter recover. I stepped up, divorced her, and it's been 2 years. I've kept the details private from my daughter since she doesn't need to know. But since then, I've raised her, and I've done my best to provide the best life that I can, despite what her cheating mom did to me. Wow, P, that's terrible. You had a kid too. I can't believe that people would throw away a relationship like that. Relationships are about trust, and she broke that, all because of a tough time and being unable to salvage that bond. I hope that the worst continues to happen to her, and that you and your daughter are able to move past this as well. I also think your daughter needs to know about the affair and what happened. She definitely deserves to know. I wish you all the best, OP. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story.